Elliot hair in my mouth.
Aww.
Even when he's not here, he all up in my fucking grill. Are we ready to rock? Why does it feel like every time we're like ready to go, it takes us another 25 minutes to actually start the podcast?
Probably because we avoid it.
What's happening?
Sorry.
To look at.
Time trying to be linear. Tell me what to do. How to think. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.
Okay.
Welcome to another episode of Friends Living Well. What episode number is this? Is this our 22nd?
22nd.
22nd episode of Friends Living Well. And this is a podcast that is a production of Full Living Wellness. I'm Nikita Mahone, also known as Fajita Trombone. I'm here with my best friend and my fellow, well, she's a BC, I was going to say my fellow BCBA, but I'm not one.
23, episode 23.
Oh, episode 23.
JK, episode 23. We're really getting up there.
We are getting up there. Yeah, I'm a BCBA. You can Google what that stands for. And my name is Kelsey. I'm coming at you live, concussed.
But she's back.
In the studio. There's a lot of lights in my face, and I hate it. And I wish I had sunglasses on.
Honestly, we should have done that should we start all over again and get you a pair of sunglasses?
Like hard cut. No, because I would have to wear them over these.
Oh, yeah, because you don't have like prescription sunglasses.
No, and like I need these.
To see.
These make me feel okay, these lenses. Like I can't do contacts right now. My eyes are very sensitive, so.
Yeah, do you want a review on how you've been doing and what's been going on? Dun, bad.
Yeah, not good. You guys, having brain injuries is crazy. I think it's something good to talk about on the podcast because I don't think a lot of people understand.
No, it's not something people talk about, especially it's one of those things that takes forever to heal and go through.
Oh my God.
People stop kind of checking in and...
Yeah, it's like one of those never-ending things. So like just by nature, so now not every BCBA was in positions like I was in.
Starting off like earlier in your career.
Yeah, it's funny. I never showed Tom pictures of like some of the injuries I received, and I showed him today. You know, not every BCBA was in situations that I was in, but you know, I was doing a lot of crisis intervention, and I've had a lot of head injuries because of that. So I'm 32, and I just had my 5th head injury. And
were they all pretty serious concussions too when you say head injuries? Because I feel like you've probably had a ton of like minor, just like brain sloshing around, but like you're saying 5 pretty serious.
Like knocked me out for a while. Yeah. So like I had one not work related. I was in a car accident when I was 16. That was the first one that I had. I don't have a strong memory of that, but my mom, but I remember having significant neck pain. That was like one of the only times I've ever passed out in my life was due to neck pain in the shower.
It just came out of nowhere, or?
I was stretching my neck in the shower, and like it was just stars, and then...
Wow, like some kind of nerve or something went?
I think it's kind of like that. I like that vasovagal kind of response that I'm like really highly sensitive to. And the next time it happened, I felt it coming, and I was able to get out and like crawl on the floor of the bathroom before I threw up and like called my mom. But that was when I was 16, and the other ones that I sustained, one of them I never got treatment for. One of them was like I definitely got 2 when I was working at that residential facility, but one I never.
How much later was this? So your first one was when you were 16, and then how much later did you start working with?
I was got to be like, this was 2017-ish. So I don't know, math that. Yeah, I was like 24. So I got one at 16. Okay. And then I got like 3 within like 3 years or like 2 years.
Do you think you were way different after the first one too? Because that was a big gap of time, but that sounds like you were already experiencing some of this, like, the prolonged symptoms that you've been having after that first one too. So did you notice major differences after that first injury?
No, because I don't think I like was paying attention to my body at all. Like when I was 16, like I have very little memory. I just know that like I didn't get my driver's license till I was 18 because I had that injury and I had so much neck pain and head issues that I like couldn't turn my neck and body to like look for merging and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't really have a lot of memories of what that was like, but yeah, I think like as I got older, like my anxiety increased for sure. And when I was working in that job, I was like having panic attacks constantly. I was like having heart palpitations. I went to the doctor and I thought I was like I had like a heart condition.
Like right away once you first started, or after you started having
I was
some of
there
those
for
physical?
I was there for a little bit, and I was waking up every day with like crushing like as soon as my eyes opened and I was conscious.
What was it about?
I have no idea. I mean, I think it was related to like not wanting to go to work and not being that physical, but like at the time had no idea.
You didn't put those pieces together?
Not at all. Not at all.
What did you think was happening then? Were you just like, oh, I guess I'm just
I thought I was having heart palpitations, and I went to the doctor and I got an EKG and like everything was normal. And I guess nobody said to me like, oh, what you're doing is like really not a normal like job. Like it's not normal for you to, people to experience violence in the workplace. So
especially prolonged like that.
Yeah, for like a year, So yeah, and I just started anti-anxiety medication, and so then as I got older, I just started noticing all these things that like, I think you've helped me figure out some of those things too. Like you've noticed these things like, oh, you're like really flushed right now, stuff like that. But when you have a head injury, one of the things that it affects is your central nervous system. So I have a lot of nervous system dysfunction that looks like a lot of different things. Like it looks like it wants to be POTS. It looks like it wants to be anxiety and depression. Like, so I'm very heat sensitive. I like sweat excessively. My balance is really poor, especially right now. Like I'm noticing as I'm getting more taxed, like I did too much yesterday.
That makes sense as you do the hand-eye coordination and using that for balance.
Yeah, and like my eyes are really affected. Scanning up and down and side to side, like my eyes move at different speeds when I'm concussed, and so that's why I've needed the occupational therapy to help my eyes catch up. But when your eyes are moving at different speeds, it causes a lot of
miscommunication,
and your head hurts. So yeah, I've just had all of these things, and just like daily headaches, chronic neck pain, migraines, noise sensitivity, just you name it. But at baseline, before I got this most recent concussion, I had a lot of those things already, just every day. I was
thinking about not to interrupt, but I was thinking about our Austin trip, because I think it either has been a year or it's coming up to, because it came up in
that trip really highlighted a lot for me.
Yes, and because it was before your most recent one, which has really been impactful, but I was thinking about how, during that trip, because of things like the shift in environments and places, even altitude, but then the heat, especially socialization,
the heat, the overstimulation. Like
we were in a different place every night.
I think that those first like couple days where we were just doing our own thing, that was like the calmest my nervous system was of that whole trip.
What was that Britney Spears movie we watched?
Oh my god, we watched Crossroads. I put on Crossroads for Nikita for the first time. Tom's shaking his head.
I loved that shit.
She's never seen it. So little known fact about Nikita, she has not seen a lot of movies.
I'm the worst at it.
It's kind of appalling. Like
I'll watch everything on YouTube, but movie wise I struggle.
Yeah. Should I tell them like the one movie that you haven't seen that I think is a total sin?
Yeah, which one?
Mean Girls.
Okay, but I did watch a segment from Rotten Mango on it, and I feel like it was enough.
Doesn't count.
And Trixie and Katya.
That doesn't count.
I got some of the inside jokes.
No, you have to see the motherfucking movie.
I mean, she says I'm from Africa like 20 times.
She doesn't. She says it like one time.
I don't think so. I think you guys are lying.
They make fun of her. The other people. Yeah, we've seen it.
I still don't believe you.
Okay.
Even with that.
Anyway, how the fuck did we get on this topic?
That I don't watch a lot of movies. And then we were talking about Crossroads and then being in Texas.
Yes, yeah. So I love Crossroads because it's just like a quintessential like coming of age movie, and it's so bad. And
it's Britney Spears being like, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna go to Hollywood.
And my favorite fucking thing of the whole thing is she's like graduating.
That's right.
It's like Nikita can't stop being a therapist even if she fucking tried, because the scene where she's graduating and she's in the cap and gown,
right?
What did she say exactly? It was something along the lines of like,
she just like looking at her, she was so into it, and I was like, I think for her, like there's a part of her that's like, this is the realest it's ever gonna be.
Like this is the only graduation she ever had.
Yes.
Like that was, and no, you said, wow, that's so sad.
Because it's like so normal. It was like a small like country town like graduation too. Like her mom and dad were there like, we love you, baby, you've done so good. And I was like, this is the most normal. This is Michael Jackson going to Acme. That's what this is.
Nikita was literally like, that is so sad, because that's probably the only graduation like normal experience she's ever had in her life. And I was
2
like,
years later she was being hunted by the paparazzi
and I was like, can you shut the fuck up and just enjoy the movie?
And I still did.
Oh my
Excellent
god!
movie. If you haven't watched it in a while, I highly recommend.
No, but I agree. I do think that Austin highlighted a lot of my problems, because I had a panic attack.
Yep.
I was trying not to. As damn fuck it. I mean, that was like real rock bottom. That was real rock bottom. I was like having a panic attack in the car ride back to the Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And when I cry, crying is actually, so I notice this crying is actually triggers my pain. I will feel bad, but then if I like cry, my pain is like amplified. It's crazy.
It's almost like you're connecting with your emotions, and your tears are bringing awareness to your pain.
Perhaps.
Crazy.
Perhaps. So, and when I cry, I feel worse. And I was like, I cried so much, and my head was fucking killing me. And I think I ended up passing out. I still have never seen that video you took of me snoring.
We should post it just for the pod.
That's going to be the first thing we put on our Patreon when we make a Patreon.
It's a picture I have of you where you're all tucked in, and you were like, oh, Kinky, turn off the light. And you're like, you have your little sleep mask on.
Sleep mask on, my headphones in.
And you are tucked in, and your little arms are like this, and you were just like...
Or better yet, I'll take the image and superimpose it on this video.
There we go.
I would really rather you not. I would really rather you not do that. But we'll have to see it. It could end up being really funny. Yeah, so brain injuries are no joke.
Well, I'm glad you're at least here today.
You know, and in the past couple weeks, I've made a lot of like steps to like try and advocate. You know, I have so much empathy for the families I work with, navigating the medical system. I understand better now what people, you know, like what disabled people experience, because I think the hardest thing for me out of all of this has been advocating for myself. You know, like there was like a moment where we were like at Brick and Brew or whatever, and the music was too loud.
So loud.
And you were like, you need to get like, just why don't you just get like noise canceling earbuds? And I don't remember. I just kind of remember having a response of like, I really wish I didn't have to do that. But then I ended up ordering them literally on the spot. It's like, I'm going to buy these loop earbuds, and I can't live without them now. Like, I have to wear them.
Helpful.
It's another strange thing. So it's like, I have to, you know, when I go in public and there's any type of conflicting noises, I have to wear those noise canceling earbuds or I'll get a migraine or a headache. So yeah, lots of empathy for, you know, the populations that we've been working with for a long time. You know, you don't you don't get it until you're the person that's having the hard time.
And in those systems like that, and then having to change your life up.
Yeah. And I recently, it wasn't until I started this new medication that has really almost eliminated some of my pain. But now I'm still, what's hard now, I'm trying to figure out what my body is telling me, because the pain was telling me stuff before, and that's what I was listening to. Now I don't have pain, and so now it's almost like I'm relearning my body's responses. So the eczema and
there was something you said at the beginning too, which is, it was almost like your anxiety when you first started, it was warning you this is too much.
Yeah.
And you didn't know it at the time that's where, but now looking back, it feels so clear that's what was happening.
Yeah.
It was almost like we're not healed enough. We can't be around this.
No, I agree. And it's the older we talk so much about bodily awareness and the importance of knowing your body and trusting your body. And I think all of those conversations have led me to this place where
you want to connect to it.
I'm really connecting with it. It's been helping me a lot. It's why I'm feeling better. And it's interesting. Tom and I were having a conversation in the car, and he was I wonder what you would have been what your life would have looked like if you didn't get this degree, you didn't go down this route, because it led me to so many brain injuries. Right. But I said to him, I was for some reason, I still feel I would have ended up in a fighting sport or something. I still feel I would have been.
Well, even that first one from when you were 16, I mean, that was a car accident. It feels like there was something about your polyvagal nerve and how your body, I mean, that's all your autoimmune system, your nervous system is. Yeah. It's just a network of communication of all the data that you're taking in, from your skin to your eyeballs, your breath. So it's just how it communicates. And if something feels off or overwhelming about that to that system, and it feels from this, you were already having.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, one of the treatments that I got for the neck pain that I was having with that first injury is I got 12 or more cortisol shots at once in my neck and back. And in the office, I almost vomited and passed out because I had such a strong response. And I remember this male doctor saying something along the lines of me to I'm sorry you got yourself so worked up. And my mom laid into that guy. And my mom is not like that at all.
But he crossed the line.
That set her off. And she's such a good advocate. She went through all of those. Even the significant concussion that I got in 2017, and then the lawsuit and stuff that ensued, she was with me through all of that. She was in those doctor's appointments when I was there trying to tell people. The fucking craziest part of having a chronic injury like that is going to appointments and people telling you that you're not having a hard time. And those doctors from that company literally wrote stuff on their note that I did not say. So my mom was smart enough at the time to read the note before we left. She said, "Can you give me a copy of that?" And she looked at it and she said, "You wrote on here that her pain was a 0. You never asked her. You never asked her that question, what her pain level is. So you need to amend that right now and put your initials next to it."
Yo, Susan Hunter telling us all how to be.
She knows her shit, man. No
that
wonder
is such a good tip. If you feel like your doctors are not working with you, review your note.
Yeah.
And because, if it's written down, I hate that it's like that, but that's so true. If it's written down and they have to sign their name next to it, even things like that they're not offering any treatment, I want you to put that, that we just had this appointment and you are not offering me any form of treatment, and sign your freaking name to that.
Yeah, so basically, one of the best things you can say is, please document in my chart that you are refusing to provide me this. But what she did was, I think it was already written and printed out. So she said, if you're not going to fix it in your computer, you can fix it right here. And I remember there was a pretty long back and forth exchange where this person was right, and my mom made her do it anyway.
Holding me accountable.
Yeah,
Good.
Fucking suck a dick. So Yeah, it's definitely like one of those kind of wake up call situations.
I'm glad you're prioritizing yourself more.
Yeah, I think my body's telling me a bunch of stuff, and our bodies are, my body knows how to protect me and keep me safe, and I think that I need to just keep like,
Listening.
I saw like a clip online that was like, your brain doesn't know the difference between like a lie and the truth. So when you're telling yourself, I'm never going to get better, et cetera, your brain doesn't know the difference.
Exactly.
So even if you don't believe it, you should be telling your body. And you've taught me that,
It's an annoying one, but it's so true. If we just spin one negative side, that's all that part of us knows.
Yeah, and I remember a moment, I don't even know if you remember this, but I remember a moment from like many months ago where you said something to me like you say so many negative things to your body, but I was just not ready, to say that. Like I was not ready to,
See, that's the next part is then why, like why is that hard to say the nice things to yourself or to...
Yeah, I don't want to cry.
I know. That's why I hesitate for a minute.
Yeah,
we can
switch the subject.
I love you. You gonna heal up, and you already know that's the next part. You deserve to be loved on and healed. And
I know. I'm sick of it, Grandpa.
I hate this, Grandpa.
I'm sick of it, Grandpa.
Another movie I haven't fucking watched.
It's not a movie. It's a clip.
It is.
Well,
I thought it
it's
came from a movie.
Holes, but you don't have to like.
Okay.
I mean, you should see Holes.
Add it to the list.
Pause. Tears are streaming down my face.
Boo Bear.
Tom looks like he's gonna say
something. Producer Tom. I'm super curious because you are the TikTok aficionado. And there is something that has gone so viral and so big that it has left the TikTok world.
Oh my god.
And has infiltrated into all worlds, and now many therapists are talking about it because obviously it very much involves therapists.
There's so many, like, I got so many therapists on my feed. There are so many responses to this.
So many responses. I even had clients asking me about it. They were like,
really?
Just out of curiosity, what's your opinion on this?
Oh, whoa.
I think it's the topic.
Yo, I would love to be paid money to talk about my opinions about TikTok shit.
Well, that's essentially sponsors.
That's exactly what happened. That's fucking cool. I'm glad they asked me that.
Right?
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're talking about is, what's her name?
Kendra,
who is experiencing, I mean, we're guessing here, right?
Yes, all of this is pure speculation, and our data has quite literally been pulled from TikTok videos.
Yeah, so like it's, we're not diagnosing anybody because we can't do that anyway.
We're just shit talking.
Yeah, we're just two girls that yap. But yeah, so there's this woman on TikTok, Kendra, who talks about how she quote unquote fell in love. Her and her psychiatrist fell in love with each other.
Yes, and it's like even more like my interpretation of it was her being like, I have ADHD and limerence, and my psychiatrist played the boundary game because he wanted to seduce me and lead me on, and so he orchestrated this game to lure me in with her.
And she gives like all these examples of like how maybe he crossed a boundary or things like that, which is
like, hey, those tortoiseshell glasses, they be tortoiseshell.
Yeah, like he complimented my glasses one time, right? And
she literally uses that as an
example of like how he's in love with her.
And also that it was a strategic move. She phrases it as like he knew well enough not to comment directly on my appearance, but would talk like around it, and she uses that as an example.
Yes, and I think she says something to, man, there was like another situation in which like, didn't he, he asked how she was doing or like checked in on her.
Yeah. all the questions that usually a psychiatrist would ask, but she took them as, and she says this multiple times, like, obviously I was special.
Yes.
I meant something to him. So he's asking, like, how are you eating? How are you sleeping? Yes. How are your bowel movements? How's your sex life? And just in case you don't know this, because I don't know if everybody does, but those are all normal questions, including the sex life one, because obviously a ton of psychiatric medications, especially SSRIs, impact
all of that.
Libido and sexual function, and then people can feel a great deal of shame or not even know, and then they don't talk about it with their psychiatrist, and then their marriages fall apart and stuff. So it's very much recommended, and we're trained to bring it up as a topic so we normalize it, and people know, like, hey, if you're having experiences, you can talk about it. She takes this as an invitation to talk about all of her sex life, and she calls it content with him, that he got 30 minutes of content from her.
That's crazy.
It gets really...
Yeah, I didn't know that part, but I think what people need to remember about psychiatrists and psychiatry and therapy is that for a lot of people, I mean, it is a medically necessary service. And that's basically means, like, in order to have quality of life, this is a needed thing. And when you're providing a medically necessary service, you have to ask those questions.
Yes.
I don't ask those questions because I work in a hospital system, but I don't ask the sex question, but I always ask the parents that I'm working with, how are they eating? How are they sleeping? What do their bowel movements look like?
And I've seen you ask that question when it comes up and it's pertinent around sexual development, where masturbation comes up, or curiosity, and then parents are really like, how do I talk about this with him? And then it becomes an invitation in sessions of like, well, you and I talk about how you would like them to have a relationship with this.
Yeah. And like, I don't, I think the first question I usually ask is like, I don't know what your like cultural or religious views are on like what is healthy sexual activity, because I never know if a parent is going to be like, yeah, I want my kid to masturbate.
Right.
We know that is like part of sexual development, and everybody masturbates.
Well, especially people with disabilities. Some people don't think that people with disabilities.
They do, but the problem is that they're not taught how to do it in a way that protects them and protects other people. And so that's why I bring it up, because it's kind of one of those like taboo topics that people are like, that parents just, when you're a parent, you're having a child, you don't think about, okay, 15 years from now, I need to talk about, sex, right? So yeah, you're providing a medically necessary service. You have to ask those questions. If you don't ask those questions, you're not providing good care.
Yes.
Yeah. So she goes on to like give these examples, and I think, so I was watching it as it was unfolding.
Interesting. So I caught it afterwards.
So this was the thing that was like a nail in the coffin for me, which is something you said first, which was ADHD, blah, blah, blah. So she did several videos, and it wasn't until people saw later videos that I think she talks about maybe her diagnosis, because, and I don't think people would know this unless, you're working in the medical field or with psychiatrists or therapists, but like, if you don't disclose or you're not aware that you have something like bipolar disorder, and you're just treated for ADHD and you're given a stimulant, crazy shit. Like, that is a recipe for psychosis. And so some people were speculating that she did not disclose her BPD diagnosis, only was seeing the psychiatrist for ADHD, and he prescribed a stimulant or something.
Has she actually been diagnosed?
I don't know. Okay. That would be something we would have to like,
because she denies that in videos. She says, for a fact, she goes through the list of, I am not have any kind of personality disorder. I do not experience any form of psychosis. I do not have bipolar. Like, she goes through the list of things, which
to based on what she is saying about her psychiatrist.
Oh yeah,
we can all probably posit that there's some personality mood thing happening. it's either in the personality category or the mood category or multiple categories,
I
right?
only bring it up even at all because it was to the point where I was like, I don't even know if she's actually been diagnosed with ADHD.
No, I think that's the thing. But I think that people were speculating, like, this would make sense if she was a person who only got a stimulant but had an underlying personality disorder. Like,
Maybe.
and I've seen that with, like, some of the kids that I've worked with. Like, some of these kids that I've worked with where we've, like, put them on a stimulant and, like, they literally all of a sudden were, like, hearing voices and stuff. Like, shit that had never happened before. Yeah, I don't know. But I thought that was really interesting speculation. I also just think it is interesting on a level of, like, we don't do a good job as clinicians explaining to people maybe what's normal and not normal in an appointment.
Well, and even what different kinds of appointments.
Yeah, like, what can you expect to be, like, what questions can you expect to be asked and answer, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting part that came up with this is because I know some, I mean, we've even networked with some psychiatrists who do talk therapy. That is part of it's an additional service that you have to agree upon it. So they'll do it's considered usually medication management, which is after you've had your evaluation and then you just come in for your 15-minute appointments, usually monthly. That's considered medication management. And some psychiatrists do just that. But then there are others who do like to practice a form of therapy in addition to medication management, and then you can get both. And so I thought that was interesting because I don't know. I haven't actually looked up. I know his name was full out doxed, but I haven't looked him up to know if that's even a service that he offers.
No, it's a good point. But, like, I mean, pretty much every psychiatrist that I work with at my institution.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be med management.
They do. It's all med management. And that's how I get brought in, because usually what happens is the psychiatrist is having conversations with families and doing a little bit of talk therapy and making some recommendations, but they're feeling like they're having a lot of the same conversations, or the behaviors are too intense or too severe. The medication's not touching it. And then they're kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, we need more here.
But it was interesting because people were bringing it up as, like, how are they even getting this in depth in their conversations together? Like, is this just her spontaneously sharing, or was he really asking such questions?
Well, and I think that the other thing that ended up being obvious, or somebody looked into it again, this is, like, really uncomfortable privacy-wise for this guy, like, this poor guy.
Totally.
I believe he did transfer her care. Like, he's no longer her psychiatrist and hasn't been.
After this, I mean, he would have to be.
That had already happened. So there was a segment, I believe, of what she was saying where, like, she was talking about how, like, he, like, dropped her as a client or something and, like, gave these strange, like, it was, like, too intense, love a relationship,
Now you're sparking my memory even of her. That was how she opens her first video. She says, I left my psychiatrist. I had the strength to leave after 4 years.
Yeah, so I believe that, she reminded me of, like, some of the stuff we've talked about with, like, couples therapy, where sometimes you come in and you maybe do an intake and a person, like, presents what they feel is the issue, but then you end up realizing, like, oh, well, I actually maybe need to work on this, dynamic in a different way. She really struck me as, like, that probably became way more prominent as he continued to provide care for her. And it was probably why there's so many layers to this.
There's a lot going on with her in that, man, of
and I guess, like, what's interesting, obviously the whole thing is interesting, right? But how much it caught on, like, it had everybody.
That's what I like the most about it, is the conversation. I mean, obviously I think she's in a position where none of that is or is going to be addressed the way it needs to, unfortunately, for quite some time, which I think is one of the most difficult things about certain kinds of personality disorders. There are certain levels of awareness when you have a person that are very treatable, but then there are others where if you don't see the issue, now I'm just having a debate with you and trying to convince you of something, and that's not the point of therapy. But I have loved the conversations that have come out of it, of people being like, what is a psychiatrist? What is a therapist?
Yeah.
What is countertransference or transference?
Yes.
What is a trusting relationship with real experiences where others have been taken advantage in relationship with therapists, and particularly with males?
That's the other thing that, like, if you're on therapy TikTok or Instagram like we are, you know, sometimes, God, and like, don't even get me started on fucking ABA anything on the internet, but like some of the comments that you read, and you read how people are treated, woof, like that. Like,
shocking.
It's so scary. It's so scary. And I'm actually, I'm on this Facebook group about like BCBA supervision, and some of the questions that people ask on there, I'm like, I'm concerned.
About?
Like, I'm genuinely concerned, like, that you want to be in this field, or you are in this field, and you're asking that type of a question. Like, I think it really highlights people that like understand conceptually, and then people that kind of have this surface level, like very narrow understanding of something. I'm out of pure curiosity, Tom, did you see this? None of that came up on your TikTok?
So you're completely unfamiliar with this story.
I've never heard a word of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, all of his feed is just like
Metal.
shit posting. No, it's just shit posting. It's like prank videos. It's
Calling all the sisters.
animal compilations. Who's that guy that was like Mr.
Oh, you mean Mr. Biao?
Yeah, it was like a 10-minute long video he sent me of this man who lives in, like, it looks like rural China, making something. What was he making?
He tends to make like this is totally not therapeutic at all to most, but maybe it is. It's very soothing to watch him use like traditional cooking techniques and tools to make like tofu dishes and like very country like meals.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that it's like you zoom out 3,000 feet and it's like he's planting the fucking tree that he's getting the tofu from, and then it's like this like 3-month long process that he puts into like
he is the cycle of life.
Yo, he sent me that and he was like, he's back, and I was like, I'm not watching this.
That's when I said to her, your attention span for entertainment is so different than mine.
Oh, that's
And
what
I
TikTok
looked at
will
him.
do.
I looked at him and I said, my attention span.
She said, "Excuse me, baking powder."
I raised my voice. I was like, you want to talk about attention span?
Triggered.
My voice dropped like an octave.
She grew an Adam's apple.
I did, yeah.
For that extra deep tone to
yeah,
come
I
out.
did. Oh my god. Yeah, that. I think it's good. I'm really glad that it's a conversation that's being had on the internet. I think it's
is
really
interesting.
important that people are aware of what therapy could kind of look like, what psychiatry could kind of look like.
And you know what another thing it brought up too before Tom and I talked about this too on the last episode, AI psychosis. That was such a huge
Yeah.
part of this, was that like her echo chamber, even naming
yeah.
it Henry. And so then everything that she thought,
Yeah.
it's like, I wanted to be like, do you have like a best friend that you're, yeah, I can't answer right now.
Okay. Yeah, somebody actually commented on our TikTok about we don't get that many comments on our TikTok, so go like us on TikTok and follow our videos.
I do try to look every once in a while at our YouTube and see if anybody's left anything that
So we got a
address.
comment, and I thought it was actually like a really interesting point. They said, okay, fucking, let me scroll. It says, somebody like had like the thinking emoji. They said, who uses AI for feeding your ego or even responding to people or using it for anything where it doesn't have the whole information? Then you aren't getting an accurate response. That's crazy if people are using it for that. Like, let's take a couple examples here. Using AI for an opinion about your relationship.
This is rage bait. that comment's not real. That's a bot. Could because literally tons of people use it for that. Much to our dismay, but they do.
I don't know if it's a bot, but I can see
I don't think it's a
bot. It is like a very logical, but I mean, that's the whole point, is like the people that are using this aren't coming from a place of sheer logic, and they know that there isn't quite the right perspective, but they're desperate for an answer or some validation.
Well, that's the thing, because it's like they said, like, it doesn't give all the information, only what you give it, not what your partner actually does, thinks, feels, or can build a real answer based on the whole picture. And so I like commented back, like, yeah, you highlighted a lot of things that's concerning about it, which is like it's an echo chamber, right? And like, I think if you find yourself looking to AI to answer questions about, you know, your relationship or your partner, I would say, like, okay, like, what are we looking for in this? Like, what can that do? Like, what would that give me? What would that answer give me?
Yeah. I think it's a good one. I think when I look at my own use of using like AI, I can see where all of it is very helpful, but you have to just know that you're only getting a glimpse of things, and that this is not some perfect all-knowing answer. It might offer you, it's like talking to a friend. You're going to go to a friend and you're going to get a different perspective, maybe a perspective you've never heard of or thought of before, and that's going to be very helpful to you. That does not mean that your friend's perspective is the all-knowing and only answer. It was helpful to you. So like, take it in, use it, but know enough to know that that's probably one sliver.
Yeah, and I think that people are, you know, that are really relying on friends' opinions or AI to, you know, like, that tells me that there's some like reassurance seeking happening that like I would want to be curious about. You know, like, what are you missing?
Yeah, especially if you don't have people to ask it. That's what stands out to me of those that I know use it this way. It's like
they're I feel like they're craving connection in some 100%. Form.
Like, I would use it to maybe brainstorm my thoughts. Like, okay, I feel a little disorganized. Like, give me some patterns or themes that you maybe notice. And then I'm like, okay, cool. That helps me to better figure out and articulate to the people that I need to what I'm thinking and feeling.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't have the people to then take
the information to, and then, you know, like, actually who know you and maybe know the person or situation that you're in, right? Yeah, I think that it's one of those things that I said this to Tom and my mom the other day. I was like, I got a master's degree when AI wasn't.
Right.
But I could also, you know, just from a behavioral standpoint with motivation, you know, there's really no motivating operation here making it so people should study, or you have the information at your fingertips, right? Like, you're never deprived of the information, and therefore you're never motivated to like actually go and seek out the information yourself and really retain it. So I mean, I was like, man, like, I'm susceptible to those types of behavioral contingencies. If I was in the same boat, I don't know if I would have studied the way that I studied. But it also reaffirmed, you know, I was working with a supervisee, and I was like using the study techniques that I was teaching. You know, I taught myself content using behavioral strategies, and so I really want to teach my supervisees how to study that way. And when I had her doing it and we were answering test questions, one of my favorite things, if you're studying for a board exam, by the way, one of my favorite things to do is, if you pick an answer and you know in your heart of hearts that's the answer, great. Explain why the other 3 multiple choice answers are not it. Tell me what they are, because that's building fluency. If you can say it's not this because I know it aligns with that topic and that content, you know your shit, right? So like, I would have been in that exact situation. I never would have studied, probably.
Because you wouldn't have had a need to, or you would assume you didn't have a need to.
I would assume, but you know, even saying that though, my program was a little bit different. We didn't study with a lot of the same books that other people were studying with.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the things I've been using AI for is to update. You know, I'm like working on a program with somebody's company, and I can put their information. I can take like a list that I already have that's from something,
Yes.
put it into AI and say, make me something based off of this. So
That's
then,
what I love. Organization.
So then I know that they're getting the information from exactly the source that I want it to come from. So there's a lot of unique ways to use it. But if you're going to AI for relationship based, that's where I'm like, call us.
That's, yeah.
Inquire for a 15-minute consultation with us, because
that was one of the biggest things I took from it. 'Cause there was never a time where I felt like I heard her say anybody in her life. There were times where she would talk about people she dated, other therapists, but there was never a time where she was like, I had a girlfriend that was like, boo, what are you talking about? And so for me, I'm like, you don't have people that care about you, because anybody that would hear this story would say, like, what is happening? Or you're so to the point of, that's where I would go, like, okay, this is now delusional and protective, that anybody that is raising flags of, like, this isn't making sense, you are then,
like,
cutting out.
Yeah. That's what I love about our friendship and the friendships that we have with other people, because we have friendship that it's like, I'll be like, oh, so like you're fucked up right now. Like you're not okay. Right. I told you about that moment I had with my one friend where I was like, you know, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. Literally insane. Like, stop doing
sometimes
that.
you have to say that to your friends.
We need people like that.
Oh my gosh. I even said it. This was me being really petty, but I said it about one of Tom's friends and their appearance. And I was like, I would not let them walk out of the house like that. I would be like, in fact, I said to Tom, I said, is that what you're wearing tonight? What are you wearing tonight? And he was like, this. And I was like, that?
She was like, I want something else.
It wasn't the right. He wasn't actually going to wear the outfit he was wearing. He was referring to the shirt, but he was wearing shorts. It was a whole thing. Anyway, I'm that type of person where I'm just like, are you sure?
We need that. That's the same good like that's the number one feedback I hear from people, because you raised this before, and I love asking people. I'll always ask them in an intake or a consultation, what is your previous experience with therapy been like? Like, what has the good and the bad of it been like?
You remember the story we heard from a friend about them being worried about burdening their therapist with their information?
Yeah. And that's why for months did not share any of the trauma history, but that's another, I hear that all the time, even from me, and I'm like, if you only knew, like, that I live for the trauma. I live for the complexities of trauma. But I literally just got an email this past weekend that was like, I'm afraid that my level of stuff, like, you can't
handle.
You'll drop me as a client, because if I'm like, no, like,
it's literally what you don't know what built this bitch.
I love doing that. I love that.
You have no idea.
Yes, that's, oh man.
You think it's bad, dude?
That's just
talk to this girl and that guy.
We're a little traumatized.
They're a little traumatized babies.
I think that's what it really is if you have a therapist that is really trauma focused, it's not a guarantee, but likely they're super traumatized themselves and have gone through a ton of, which is why then they have their own experiences of extremes of things, or acting out in ways that might be very confusing to others. And I feel like that's so important, even though we as a therapist don't come into the session to talk about ourselves and take up your time with our experience and our stories. The fact that that's what we want to focus on and work on, you are never a burden. But I don't mind that coming up in conversation either, because I think that that's part of the healing experience, is to encounter with me a genuine knowing and being with me where I see you in pain, being emotional, acting out in this way, and I fully accept you and see it for what it is too. So I think that's a beautiful part of, working with a trusted therapist, right? I love that word, like, genuine knowing, right? Can't fake it when you're with somebody and you feel that. You just
no. And I think that, again, that's like why we kind of started why I started the episode saying I have so much empathy and greater understanding for the circumstances that, you know, the people that I've been providing care for so long are living, you know? So I'm getting a dose of it, and it's, you know, not nearly as intense as what they live on a daily basis. And I think that genuine knowing goes so far in building connection and building trust. And, you know, you have to trust your therapist, you know, and I think that that's what saddens me to read some of those comments and things like that, people describing the experiences with therapists that, you know, it's re-traumatizing, right? Where it's like this person who's experienced trauma is ready to be vulnerable, and in their vulnerability are re-traumatized, right? So I think
I want to add two things to that too, of like, don't think that you have to have the trust right away either.
No.
That's another thing I hear. It's almost like I'm supposed to feel that right, and it's going to take time for you to get to know your therapist and to build that level of trust where you then feel comfortable. And secondly, your therapist is going to do things and say things that piss you off, hurt your feelings, hit the ear wrong, weren't exactly what you wanted. Tell them that.
Yeah.
I see so many people where they'll say to me, oh, she did this thing and it hurt my feelings and I just stopped going. And they never got any closure about that. They never got to know like what that was from so if some, especially when I'm thinking of trauma work, like that stuff is going to happen because you're talking about such repeated patterns, such sensitive and vulnerable parts of yourself. Having somebody look at that feels really scary and like a lot at times. And if it ever feels like that and you're like us talking about it the way you're talking about it, it feels like too much, say that.
Yeah. And I think that that's like why I love, you know, it's very cliche, but I love those images of, you know, progress is not linear, right? Like it's healing and going through, you know, engaging in the therapeutic process is not clean. It involves, you know, messy emotions and, you know, conflict at times. And, you know, we as therapists we would like to think pretty well equipped to handle that. But you as the participant, you know, the other person in the therapeutic dynamic are very much a part of it as well. So you have to tell us, like,
even with that chick Kendra, like that's why, I mean, I'm not in there, so I don't know, but if I have somebody that tells me like they have a crush on me, or the thoughts that like the things that she was saying, my whole conversation would be about that and the likelihood of that being a pattern throughout her life. And then what does that likely mean? And I had a supervision that was actually just on this topic of when clients do have that, what they call countertransference, which is where they believe that they are in love with you or mistaken strong feelings for you. And then, and the only way I've ever known to deal with that, and I know a lot of therapists that'll just say like, I'm not appropriate to offer you services anymore and transfer out, and they'll kind of like leave it at that. That's one way of doing it.
But that's not Nikita's way, because I bet what Nikita's about to say is she's going to be curious about it.
I'm going to be super curious and very relational, because if you think that you're in love with me, you don't know me. Like we and if you do, it's a very, so it's, you're definitely not like in love with me. Like there's something that you're seeking out, or that's working out, or that's attaching to me. A lot of times it's like I'm the first person to know you in this way. I'm the first person to know you in this way and be nice to you. You feel a nurturing sense from me, or like I'm kind, and a lot of people don't. So there's all of these things where that becomes the conversation then of how haven't people treated you in this way, where there's something happening with us that you're only getting that here.
Yeah, because you're getting a piece of us, right? Like that's when we're providing therapeutic services, you know, it's not us as a fully fledged human being, right? Because we're in a therapeutic process.
I'm creating a space for you. The whole point. It's almost like I'm a masseuse. Like I'm setting the room and the table up for you to lay on it. So we can massage your body. It's not, I'm in the room, and if you're curious and we have a long relationship, of course you're going to get to know me.
Right.
The focus isn't on me.
Right. So what is it about our interactions that makes you like feel this attraction or interest, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, when it's like you're getting like 2D Nikita. You're not getting
Exactly.
3D Nikita.
Yeah. And is that the thing in itself that like that surface relation? There's so many layers to go with it. But I don't know if she just simply didn't talk about it within all of her, but
I think that in some of my experiences with psychiatrists is you get so far away from the actual like therapy process because if you're doing a lot of med management appointments, it's like 30 minutes. You see them 30 minutes. For some people, it's literally once every 3 months.
oh yeah, they're like, are you not planning on harming yourself? Cool.
See you.
Done.
Right? So it's not, and I think that that's, no knock to psychiatrists at all, but it's kind of part of the process, like how things are structured, unless maybe you're in a private practice.
I was just going to say that.
Where you're deciding, the current medical model, we've talked about this many times, is not really suitable in a lot of ways for a lot of people. And so I think that just working within that system, there's a lot of like confines to that. And, I think so I've witnessed some psychiatrists getting so far away from the therapeutic process that it's like, they wouldn't have that curiosity, right?
Yeah. That's why I was curious. Like, is it?
Yeah.
Did they really do that, or even her therapist? We'll never know the answers to all of this. But
Kendra's this huge mystery, but I mean, I think that highlights so many. When you hear about these really big examples of like, I don't know the right word. It's not malpractice. It's like, when you see these big,
it was like it became a cultural phenomenon, like this
cultural
window into therapy.
It highlights kind of like, this is a bad example, right? And so when you think of a bad example, it then highlights all of the things that we now maybe should be more aware of that are better, right? Like this curiosity, like why are we not demonstrating curiosity? And I really, what you said about being curious about it resonates so much with me as I'm thinking about it, because I've worked with a lot of families that have come to me with very unique behaviors, and some that even I've never seen in my 10 years, almost 10 years of practice. And I've very rarely batted an eye, because I like, behavior is behavior.
Right.
Like, I don't really kind of care what it looks like.
It's your lack of judgment that becomes the door to things.
Yeah, so like if you judge it on face value, and like this is where I'll get really behavioral, like if you're just looking at the topography of the behavior, what the behavior looks like, and you're not really looking at why it's occurring, a lot of clinicians in general get really caught up about the topography of the behavior, because it's challenging for you culturally or religious. Like, how many kids have said slurs at me or people I've worked with that are people of color, right?
And it's so manageable too. It's measurable. It's like, if I just get them to stop doing this, or
right. But it's like, it's if you stop there, if you just look at it and say they said a racial slur, so they're racist, and then they're a bad kid, and blah 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 blah, and you kind of group them in that kind of like schema in your mind, don't work with them anymore. I'm done, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, where did they learn that?
Right.
Why? What experiences have they had with people that look like you? What is happening at home? Like, there's all these things that I would be curious about, and that's where I love. But I think you've sparked that more in me. Like, the more we talk and have conversations, I feel like you've really taught me more about curiosity, and I see it so much more like in my daily practice. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this is, I think, why parents enjoy working with me, because I'm not going to get scared.
Exactly. And because your mind already goes to you're the same way I am, where I say this to clients all the time, like the behavioral thing, like we'll draw up a freaking step-by-step plan for that. Like, that's easy. It's the underlying, how did you even get here? Because if we don't fix that, even if I get you to change your behavior, it's going to blossom into something else. If I don't fix the underlying emotional thing.
Yeah.
And you already have an instinct, which is why when we first started even talking about clinical things as friends,
Yeah.
we linked up in that way, because where your mind naturally went to, then we would start talking very clinically and very therapeutically about
Yeah.
the issue underneath the context of the behavior.
Oh yeah, and I think it's something I've noticed in like some of my colleagues, like some of my favorite people, like Sarah Burby, who runs Mind Body Behavior.
Yes.
She's one of my favorite humans, and Lauren Haley, who runs Better Care Consulting. You know, we've been in our practice for almost 10 years or more now, and
Expertise level, that's literally what they say, 10 years of something, and then you start.
And every really good BCBA that I know, we almost never spend time talking about the behavior, right? It's like we peel it all the way back, and that's where I think Nikita and I linked up so much, because I started getting real curious about like emotional regulation and psychological safety and like developmental skills and co-regulation.
And you're
like,
a really big advocate for the children you work with too, where a lot of our conversations came from you having a genuine frustration of, you know, because the parents would be really struggling to love their child through that behavior, and you would try to figure out a way to explain to them what the behavior really meant to that child, so that way they could depersonalize it, of like, this kid was not acting out because they want to give you a middle finger or they want to disrespect you.
Yeah.
It's really about their grief in this, and that allowed parents to completely
Yeah.
reframe it. And then you were able to teach them, okay, now that
Yeah.
you're not emotionally triggered by this, now you can help
yeah,
them.
I love how you summarized that. That was really nice. Having somebody that sees you is really nice.
Right.
Yeah, because I had a moment with it. There are some families that I work with that just get it. And I had a moment where I said, you know, the parent said to me, I don't feel that they're really getting that they can't hurt me. And I don't know how to communicate with them that it's not okay to hurt me. And I said, I want to like take a step back here, because I think that when we use the word hurting me or hurting you, I feel that we're inferring an intention here that's not there. Right?
It's a whole story now we've painted.
Yeah, like we're inferring that there's an intentional or malicious act happening, and really what's happening is they're communicating with you that something is happening with them. And it just happens, again, if you get lost in the topography of the behavior, if you just look at it, they're headbutting me.
Yeah.
It's not about that, you know? And one of the things I love about this family is, as soon as I said that, they said, first thing they said was, that was really profound. And second thing they said was, heard.
They took it right in, received it.
That's all they needed.
I mean,
that's like those are a dime a dozen, right? Like, you don't get those every day, but those are the families that, like, it's just so nice to be that person for them, you know, because they're really looking for that. Yeah.
So, in short, Kendra, you did it. You inspired a nation, a world, perhaps, to discuss mental health in ways that nobody was expecting, while the rest of the world burns down. So
we all learned a little bit more about psychiatry. We learned a little bit more about therapy. We learned a lot about Kendra.
Get it, Kendra.
We learned a lot about my brain and brain injuries. So I would say, like, if anybody walks away from this episode with anything, like, check on your friends that have invisible disabilities.
Yeah. As always, I think we're always talking about that. It's even one of the values we have in Full Living Wellness. It's community. Because it's a word that it drives Kels and I crazy. It's a word that people use so often, and yet they will hurt you so badly in not living up to that. And one of the ways that you can do that is absolutely check in on one another.
Yeah.
Ask how one another's doing.
Yeah. It matters right now. There's a lot of people out there that are having a really hard time. So, we got into like such a sick flow just then. That was really cool. So yeah, join us next time. We're Friends Living Well. associated with Full Living Wellness, which is Nikita's therapy practice. So find us over there. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We really, really appreciate our loyal listeners.
Spread the news like we're a
Spread the
cult.
news. It would really help if you could share some stuff. Follow us on TikTok. So
Yeah.
until next time.
Love the hell out of you guys. Be safe.
Peace.